meditation, which is quite nice. Tiratnavandana, just the title, it's Pali for three, yes? We say three in Sanskrit, but three. Ratna, the three jewels, and Vandana is the praise. It's praise of the three jewels, okay? And today we're just going to do the first of them, the Buddha. And I'd like, if all goes well, to do the next two jewels over the next 2 weeks. What is the structure of it? What is the purpose of it? Well, I've been just studying it the last few days. We did it for years without studying it. I can't believe it. Do you want to have a go at chanting it? Or should we? Is that too brave? I haven't got the text yet. I'm going to have to do it from memory. But I'll have a go. Yes? Shall we?
Do you want to?
Yeah, two of us. All right, here we go. I might mess it up. So how does it go? All right. That's only the first verse. Yeah, so...
Why can't everybody chant it who knows it?
Yeah. So here we go. Are you ready? All right. It's 6:30 in the morning. You've just had your coffee or your whatever, your caro, your decaffeinated whatever, and we're in the shrine room, and we start. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Iti piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho Vicha charana sampanno sugato lokavidu anutaro purisakamma sarati satha deva manusanam buddho bhagavati buddham jivata paryantam saranam gacchami. Yecha buddha atitacha, yecha buddha anagata, pachupanna cheye buddha, ahang vandami sabpada, nati me sarananganyam, etena sajavachena, hotu me jaya mangalam. What they say in rock and roll, quit while you're on top, yeah? Honestly, that is an old rock and roll one, yeah? I was in a band once or two, yeah. So, you get a little feel of it, we do that each morning. So what is it? And the structure, I'll tell you now, it will come out more obviously. The structure is, we're sort of sounding the praises of the Buddha. We're talking about the qualities of the Buddha, and we'll go into those in a minute, yeah? And then that's the first half of what we just chanted. We're sort of looking at the qualities of the Buddha, and the second half is saying, "Wow, that's what I want too. That's for me. I'm going to follow him. You know, I'm going to take him as central to my life. Yeah." And we use this. Okay, it sounds like jargon. We go for refuge to the Buddha. That might come out later. So that's the second half. And what I'm realising more and more and more and more, is that intention and choice are so powerful. They are so powerful in our lives. You know, and that's what holds so many people back. They can't make a decision. They can't clarify what their intentions are. So they just dribble along. but it's like, you know, once you sort of got an idea of where you want to go and then you choose to go there, the power that's unleashed is phenomenal. That's it. And I've seen that again and again and again now. But that's what this is all about. The first is like looking at the qualities and then choosing to develop those qualities ourselves and follow the Buddha. So, thank you. All right, and now the talk begins. Sorry, yeah, that was not even here. Right. Good. So, the other week, giving a talk on Sariputta from 2,500 years ago, I was amazed to find, I'd never seen it before, it was in the Pali Canon. It was the last week of his life, and it's crazy. He's one of the Buddha's chief disciples. I'm speaking quickly now, I hope it's all right. He's one of the Buddha's chief disciples, and he goes to the Buddha, he says, you know, it's time to die. And I know it's crazy, he asks permission to die. And the Buddha goes, yeah, do what it is the time for, you know. So, you know, but just give a teaching to all the assembly, he does that, and off he goes with a load of monks to his mum's. He decides to die at his mum's house, which is quite rich, I think, and also to teach her the Dhamma. Ooh. And it's arguable that maybe he picked the most difficult thing in the world after getting enlightened to teach your mum the Dhamma. Yeah, it's not easy. You know, she still remembers changing your nappies, you know, and things like that. It's very hard to see you differently. I know. I had a mum. So there we are. So he goes to convert his mum to Buddhism. And, you know, it takes about 7 days to get there. Does loads of teachings on the way. It's lovely. And then he's at his mum's house. It's his last night. He's dying. And the 4 great kings drop in to visit. Now, these are mythical beings. They drop in. You know, who are the 4 great kings? There's loads of mythical characters in Buddhism. Characters that we, with our sensibility, cannot see. I'm assuming they really are there. So the 4 great kings pop in and say, you all right? You okay? You got everything? He goes, yeah, I've got my friends here. Fine. Good night. Then in pops Satya, you know, one of the top gods. In pops Brahma Sahampati, you know. These are huge characters in mythology. They go, all right. You go, yeah, fine. Got everything. And his mum is watching all this. And she's going, he said, Brahma Sahampati, you know, the one you worship every day. Oh, really? You know, you must be very important. He said, well, my teacher's very important, you know. And his mum is getting more and more impressed by all these visitors, yeah? And in the end, she's really quite open. My son, he must really be somebody, you know. She probably thought he's going around begging from house to house. You know, nothing came of Sariputta, yeah, apart from being the chief disciple of the Buddha. But you know, so she sort of opens up, and when she's really open, he recites the Tiratnavandana to her. He gives her all the qualities of the Buddha, and the Dharma eye opens in her. She becomes irreversibly on the path to enlightenment. She becomes what is called a stream entrant. She cannot fall back. And when that's happened, he goes, the birth debt is paid. You may go, woman. That's what it says, you know. It's not very sentimental. And off she goes, and he died. Right. But I was thrilled to see that the text pops up there, the Tiratnavandana. So, there is a practice called the 4 protective meditations, and one of them is to reflect on the qualities of the Buddha. It just does you a lot of good, yeah? The second one is the Metta Bhavana, which you've all done here. The other one's a little bit controversial. Contemplation of the unattractive nature of the body, yes? So when you're standing in front of the mirror going, you know, there are certain unattractive aspects of our body, and it's a reflection on these, yeah? Then there's a recollection of death. These are the 4 practices which protect you. They really help you along. Don't worry about the last 2. The first ones, think about the Buddha, do the Metta Bhavana. That'll take us a long way. So, and also this practice, you know, the Tiratnavandana, it's very good to put positive associations into our life. Let's be more specific. You want to get the most out of your meditation, okay? There's various things that can really help you get in the mood, all right? Burn some incense. That's quite nice. If each morning you burn some incense when you're meditating, the association can sort of take you back into a meditative mood, you know. Get some nice incense, not some cheap rubbish, you know. Yeah. There was a beautiful Japanese one. I can't find it. You get it online. Morning Star. Beautiful, beautiful. And they even do 2 smoke-free ones if you're worried about lung cancer. But anyway, Morning Star, beautiful, but lovely stuff. And I really used to use incense to get into good moods. I even had expensive incense for emergencies, yeah. And I just feel, I don't want to meditate. Yeah, I use a really expensive one. And it really helped. Have a shrine at home. If you don't fancy having a Buddha there, just whatever. Just some, you know, candles and some flowers. It all helps, yeah. Maybe have a little quiet time just before the meditation. Don't land on your cushion sweating and panting, you know. Just a few minutes preparation before. Thinking of nice people can help. That's the Metta Bhavana. And thinking of the Buddha helps a lot. And that's what this practice is. That's why we start with the Tiratnavandana. Okay. Good. Lovely. So, just the program again. Today, the Buddha. Next week, the Dharma, his teaching. And the week after that, the fellowship. Okay? Now, we have this concept in Buddhism of worship. Yeah? That's a dodgy word. Yeah? Because, I mean, my background, a good old Roman Catholic, you know, my uncle was a priest, 3 aunts were nuns, you know. My God, I can teach Roman Catholicism in schools. I have the piece of paper that qualifies me, you know. So that's my background. And so worship in the church, is you're worshipping God, you know, who created hell just for you, or heaven if you're nice, you know. So this is a really powerful figure, yeah. That's not Buddhist worship at all. The Buddha did not create you. The Buddha cannot send you to hell or heaven. You can go to hell or heaven, that's your efforts, but he can't help you there, you know, you have to do it on your own, you know. So it's a whole different sense. So we're sort of honouring something. I mean, maybe there's some amateur analysis here that worship could come from the word worth, you know, to acknowledge the worth of something, you know. I put here, we do worship. Sometimes we worship a girlfriend or a boyfriend. I put here, don't do it. They don't like it. Yeah? And if they do like it, get the hell out of there. Something weird is going on there. You know? Yeah. So, you know. So, all right. So we're not worshipping a creator. We're just sort of acknowledging the beauty and loving it. You know, really honouring the beauty. And this can even be for a painting, an oil painting. Sometimes you can just, you know, I have one painting in me from the Alta Museum in Berlin. It's not a great painting, it's just a Don Quixote. I just love his green jacket, and it lives in me. I sort of honour it, I love it. I go there, it's exciting, yeah? So this is this practice. And I mean, in the East, they use worship so much. They use worship so much. Offering, well, we're doing it here. We do things called pujas here, which are devotional practices. Why do we have devotional practices? They are so powerful. They really are powerful. It's not just, we could just have the word Buddha sitting on the shrine, but it wouldn't they say float my boat, you know. I mean, the Nichiren's, they have a whole load of printed text. Not my cup of tea, you know. But having a figure there is to stimulate the feelings, the emotions, you know. And with the stories of the life of the Buddha, it can inspire. Yeah. We had this woman, Visuddhi. Where was she from? Thailand. And she would make offerings. This is 40 years ago. And we're just a load of old sort of ex-hippies, you know, doing our best to try and do puja and things like this. And Visuddhi used to come in, and when she prostrated on the floor, it was so beautiful. whole being was given to the Buddha. It made us look like a whole load of cows in a field, you know, yeah, trying to bow to the shrine, you know. Yeah. But there we go. But it's a beautiful practice, yeah. So, and also it really works on our egotism. There's nothing wrong with an ego. Yeah, you can't catch a bus without an ego, you know. You know, you need to have a sense that you are here. Yeah, an ego's okay. You can have unhealthy egos, greedy egos, you know, stupid egos, yeah. But we try and cultivate, through metta, a really healthy sense of self. But probably, yeah, most of us had mums, as far as I know. And it was most likely that for a while, our mother thought we were the greatest thing on the planet. She had this little baby. And we're lying there going, you're right, I'm the greatest thing on the planet. Yeah, she goes, oh. After a while she goes off you know, all the nappy changing and all the rest of it, yeah. But it leaves traces. We go around thinking we're the greatest thing on the planet, and we do need to sort of be pushed out of that position a little bit, you know. Yeah, I wrote down here, we are a miracle, yeah, but so is everybody else. You know? Yeah. And it's really worth considering the worth of other people, you know. And in fact, this has become a really major practice in our movement, and we call it rejoicing in merits. And I know every Thursday morning we do it with the order. We recall people who've done good things, and we just rejoice, you know. It's just shoving you out of the middle for a little while, you know. Yeah. All right. So, yes, I mentioned my talk. I'm afraid it jumps all over the place. Yeah, the Buddha succeeded in becoming enlightened. It's the greatest possible achievement. Good. And through our rituals, we're sort of acknowledging that. Yes, and hopefully putting that into the middle of our map of the universe, you know? Yeah. It's great, as you do realise there is a spiritual hierarchy, a natural, genuine hierarchy, not a hierarchy based on power or, you know, privilege, but on worth. Well, the world does begin to make more sense, you know? So, good. Now, let's have a bit of fun with the text, all right? Let's get into the text now. I'm going to go through it word by word, all right? And so, away we go. Namo means salutation. Just that, you know. And it also implies salutation with folded hands, yeah? So, Namo Tassa. So, we're saluting the Buddha. Why not? It's great to say hello to people. Yeah? It's so natural. I love the Irish. They don't say hello. They say, have you got a cup of tea? And you go, no, I'll make you one. And it's fantastic. You visit an Irish house, you've got a cup of tea in minutes, moments, you know. It's almost their way of saying hello. My whole family's Irish, by the way, you know. But this sort of greeting people, I remember my mum saying she saw two dogs greeting each other, you know. It's so natural. I lived with a fellow once, and I think he was trying to be a true individual. So in the morning, he wouldn't say hello to me, yeah? Even though we were going to have breakfast together, he'd come down. And this went on for a while. I didn't know what to do with it. So one morning, I decided not to say hello to him, yeah? And he panicked. What's the matter? What's yeah, well, yeah. And after that, we were through, you know. Then he said hello to me. Weird. It is odd, you know. But it's very nice. And by the way, you come across this word puja in Buddhism, which is like worship. I'm told in India that children offer puja to their parents when they meet them in the morning. Yeah? So they sort of honour their parents, you know, saying, hello, mum, hello, dad. And that is called puja in India. So that gives you a flavour, a better flavour of the Buddhist word worship. Yeah, you're honouring that which is lovely, yeah, that which helps you. Good. Traditionally, with the Buddha, people used to come and visit him, and they all had different ways of responding to the Buddha. Some threw themselves on the floor, prostrated themselves. Others bowed. Others gave a nod. Others didn't do anything. Yeah? And the Buddha accepted all of it. It was all different ways, yeah? Provided you weren't rude, then the Buddha might say something, yeah? Which he did. But I do remember that one of the, it's not a greeting, but poor little kisser goes to me with a dead baby. I'm not going to go into this story, but she's heard the Buddha could cure her baby, and she doesn't greet them. She goes straight up to the Buddha, and she just says, "Have you got medicine for my baby?" And the Buddha goes, "There is medicine," So that's interesting. There's that meeting, and the Buddha accepts her totally on that. It's another story for another day. It's a lovely story. Good. So, Namo Tassa. Tassa means to him. Bhagavato. Sangharakshita translates it to... I'm not a translator. I've pinched all his homework, by the way. Yes? Bhagavato is to the blessed. And he says Bhaga is originally something like fortunate or lucky. Yeah? In India. You're a lucky person, Bhaga. Yeah? Positive qualities. But he says, Sangharakshita says, blessed is not a bad translation, because you can be blessed with luck, blessed with good qualities, or spiritually blessed. Okay? And the disciples, they used to call the Buddha Bhagavan. They used to use this term for him when they met him, right? Back in, 2,500 years ago. Sangharakshita notes that so many saints in India have borrowed this word Bhagavan. Yeah? It's used by loads of Indian saints today. And we may know this ourselves with Bhagavan Rajneesh. Yes? Or Bhagavan Sri Rajneesh. Has people heard of him? He changed his name to Osho. Does that mean anything? Yeah? And you can go on Netflix and see 5 programs on Osho, yeah? Yonda, who's in our centre here, she was part of his movement, and she earned him a fortune in Germany, running discos and clubs and everything. She made a fortune for Osho. But she does say the Netflix thing, it doesn't really bring out the fun it was. It's very critical Netflix. She said, we did enjoy ourselves, and that's a bit missing from the documentary. But anyway, all right, so there we go. Back to the text. Arahat means worthy, but the word, it's got an interesting history. It comes from Ari, meaning enemy, and Hanta, meaning to destroy. So it's like destroying. Arahat is somebody who's destroyed their enemies. But the enemies here are the negative emotions, greed, hatred, and delusion. These are what have been destroyed. Yeah? Good. So, it goes on, Arahat Samha Sambuddho. Well, this is just like saying, very, 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 very enlightened. Yes? Samha is like, really, and Sambuddhasa is really enlightened. Yeah, so this is just superlative upon superlative. It's lovely, good old Indians. Yeah, and the sam also indicates a whole fullness, a completion. Yeah, so fully and perfectly enlightened, and it's got a sort of a wholesome feeling, this samha as well. So there's an absence of reactivity, Sangharakshita says. Yeah, good. So this enlightenment, all the root emotions the negative emotions have been destroyed. The greed, the hatred, the ignorance have been changed into their opposites. So greed has become generosity. Delusion has become wisdom, and hatred has become compassion. So this is what the Buddha has done. Turn all these things round. And the question does arrive, were there other Buddhas? Well, in the Buddha's day, men and women gained enlightenment too. And the question is it the same enlightenment? Well, I found this one. When there were 60 enlightened beings apart from the Buddha, there he is teaching his old cousins and all that, and many of them are gaining enlightenment. When it got to the number of 60, he said to them, I am free from all bonds, human and divine. You also are free from all bonds, human and divine. Go forth and teach the truth. So he's saying in that, listen, we've got the same insight. We have all destroyed delusion. Yeah? We're all enlightened. We do tend to use a different word for the disciples. We say arahats. And the Buddha is somebody who did it on his own. Yeah? He did it without help. That's the difference. The arahats, they had help. Yeah? But otherwise it's the same enlightenment. So, there we go. There is a later teaching where people do say, but he did do it on his own, so maybe it's a bit different. You know, but he's saying it's the same enlightenment, but there's a certain quality there that the Buddha had. You know, he remained the leader of his community, you know, all the way. The other thing Sangharakshita points out is that enlightenment, he thinks you can blame Zen for this. Zen sort of comes up with the idea that you get there, you know. First you were chopping wood and sweeping the yard. This is all Zen, isn't it? Then you gain enlightenment. Then what do? You chop wood, sweep the yard. You know, it's all very nice, yeah? But you get this feeling of having arrived somewhere. And Sangharakshita says, no. No, when you look at all the processes of transcending all these negative emotions and then transcending positive emotions, going on to finer and finer stuff, then wisdom arising. It's all transcending, getting finer and finer. Why should it stop at the point of enlightenment? And he argues that maybe the Buddha just keeps on getting deeper and deeper insights throughout the rest of his life, his earthly life, yeah? And then after his death, what then? We do not know. We absolutely do not know. So he then, Sangharakshita says, instead of saying Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sammasambuddhassa, we could translate it as salutation to him, to the Blessed One, to the Emancipated One, to the infinitely creative one. That the creativity doesn't stop. Yeah? On it goes. Okay. Lovely. All right. I think I'll skip that bit. A bit boring. Sorry. Itipiso, just ordinary words. Iti means thus, P means very, so it is thus, yes. Itipiso, vijja. Vijja, we might know this word in Pali as vijja, which means knowledge, but it's a very interesting sort of knowledge. It's got an aesthetic element, so when you have vijja, you see the beauty of life. So there we go. All right. Charana, yeah, which means sort of going, walking, practicing, living. And so we pinch this word for us. You know, the order members, we call ourselves Dharmacharis, yeah? It's like Charanachari. We travel in the Dharma, hopefully, yes? When we're not watching Netflix, yeah? So that's it. But, yeah, so we pinch that word for our order, yeah? Dharmacharis, yeah? But Charana is living, practicing, Sampanno, fully completed, endowed with knowledge and practice. I'm just racing through, I hope it's all right. Sugato, the happy one. So the Buddha is the happy one, okay? And when you come across this word su, this su in Buddhism, it means good. So the Buddha's paradise is, well, one of them is Sukhavati, Sukhavati. It's where the red Buddha lives. That's his Buddha. We'll leave that. That's Japanese Buddhism, okay? But he lives in Sukhavati, yeah? We hear the word sukha. It just means good. It's like the German word sugar, yeah? You can interrupt, by the way, yes? If you've got any questions, yeah? Just, you know. All right, I'll stop. Yeah.
I did have a...
Yes! Please, Tarapalata. I'll repeat what you're saying so the microphone can hear it, yeah?
But in the Sugata thing, I remember someone saying once that it's almost like, well, it wasn't definite that the Buddha would be called the Buddha, it was just one of his names, awake. But he was called the Sugata as well, which means happy.
Yeah.
And someone said he ended up being called the Happies.
The Happies?
Yeah, Buddhist is better than Happies.
It does. That sounds like Smurfs, doesn't it? Or something like that, yeah. So I'm glad. Yeah. Yeah. Great, fantastic. Yeah, so great. Sugato. All right, so good. Gati, yeah. And it comes from su plus gati. Gati means gone, which we know from the puja. Gate, gate, at the end of the puja, some of us, yeah, to be gone. So he's gone to the good, well gone to nirvana, yeah. And Sangharakshita really likes to point out here how enjoyable the spiritual life should be, yeah. Some Buddhists need to be reminded, you know. I remember at dinner once saying to somebody, you know, the Buddha did say that enlightenment was the highest bliss, not the greatest misery, you know. But some people do need to be reminded, you know. And it just, and when you, as I mentioned this thing earlier, these 12 positive nidanas, it gets outrageously blissful, you know. It goes up through delight, through happiness, all these things, yeah. Before wisdom arises even, yeah. So. Then the next word, loka vidu. Loka is a world, yeah? Vidu is one who knows. So it's somebody who knows the world. The Buddha really knows the world. He knows the conditioned nature of its existence. He knows how it works, yeah? Yeah, I mean, enlightenment is wisdom. You know how it functions, yeah? How the world functions, yeah? So, moving on a little bit. I'll go to the next sentence all in one go. Anutaro Purisa Dhamma Sarati. Sarati, I love this word at the end. We've got an order member called Sarati, yeah? It means chariot driver, okay? Yeah, chariots pop up a lot in the old, 2,500 years ago. It must have been the high-tech thing in, about the Buddha's time, yes? And funny enough, we were at the museum, wasn't it, yesterday, the Noise Museum, and there was this whole chariot in bits on a wall, yeah? I find that fascinating. All the metal parts that have survived from this chariot being buried have now been stuck on the wall in the Noise Museum. And why I like it is there's this teaching that the Buddha gave. The Buddha, he used to try and break things up, dismantle things, get down to smaller parts. And there was this story where this poor monk had heard the Buddha being insulted, and this young monk was really upset. And the Buddha heard that the young monk was upset, and he just says, you're upset. He says, which part of this person are you upset with? His nose? His ear? His eye? You're upset with his eye? And the Buddha just goes through all the parts of this person who's been so rude. And basically, the poor disciple, his anger just falls to pieces as he realises there's sort of nobody there. Once you've dismantled somebody, who are you angry with? Yeah, it's quite. And the Buddha does that. And that's why I love this thing, because there's one teaching, he says, chariot? Chariot? Why do you say chariot? It is but a mere convention. For when the parts are rightly set, we say chariot. Here, no chariot is got at. He's saying there is no chariot. It's all these bits of wood and nails and things like that. If you get them in the right shape, you've got a chariot. If they're in the wrong shape, it's not a chariot. It doesn't go anywhere. Take the wheels off, that's not a chariot, And so he has this mind that sort of breaks things down, breaks things up. So anyway, I like chariots, yeah. So the Buddha, he's described as the charioteer, yeah? And and it is the charioteer for, what did I say? Purisa Dhamma, yeah? Purisa is for the man, the women, Dhamma, who wish to be controlled. Now that's odd. Who wants to be controlled? Yeah? Sounds a bit strange. So you have to go in a little bit deeper, yeah? And actually, just think about it. You're good at a sport, yeah? You're good at a sport, and at your school they say, you're the best, you really are a great runner, yeah? Possibly you could run for the county, yeah? But you do need training, yeah? And so you need to be disciplined, you need to be trained, and a good trainer can really, You think of who is it, the Williams sisters, yeah? Again, the greatest tennis players in the world, you know, Wimbledon. Their father trained them to hell, you know? The poor devils, yeah? He decided they would be the greatest tennis players, and they were. So you can choose to put yourself in the hands of a master. And this is what he's talking about. People who want to be trained. Music. You find the best music teacher you can. Teachers are amazing. A good teacher. My girlfriend, I went to one of her class reunions. They all spoke beautiful English. All these Germans spoke beautiful. Why? They had a great teacher. He used to conduct the whole class. How now, brown cow, you know. And they've all got these lovely accents, and the whole class speak lovely. That was a good teacher. This is what we're talking about here, yeah? My German, it just didn't happen until I went to the Volkshochschule down Wassertorstrasse. And I fell in love with the teacher, which my girlfriend only found out a few years later. You never said that. But my German just advanced so rapidly, you know, with this woman. It was great, yeah? There we go. And that's what the Buddha is, a great teacher. So you get this feeling, and the Buddha is a teacher. He is a teacher. What does a teacher need? They need to know the subject, yeah? They need to know the disciple and their abilities. This goes with any classroom. They need to know what language does the disciple speak. Are you good with concepts? Do you like stories? Is it images that work with you? Yeah? And, you know, very often you have to speak a number of languages, both images and concepts, yeah? So you're doing all this thing. You have to know whereabouts they are, you know, with their knowledge. You know, what rate can they learn at? And anyway, a good teacher, rare. I mean, Socrates spoke about this. He said it should be the heroes who teach. You know, we normally put the dross, you know, the rubbish. You know, oh God, I'm full of crap here. George Bernard Shaw said, "Those who can do and those who can't teach." Yeah, that's a bit strong. Yeah, and I was at Teachers Training College, and I thought, those who can't teach, lecturing Teachers Training Colleges, you know, it was not impressive. But there we go. You put your best in. It's a rare, lovely vocation. Yeah. So the Buddha was a teacher, and you see the different approaches he uses for different people all the time. Yeah. And Nutro means the highest. That was in that sentence too. So he's the brilliant sort of teacher. Good. So the next bit, Sattva Deva Manusanam. So Sattva is the teacher. Deva Manusanam. He is the teacher of gods and men. Gods. Yeah? What have we got here? Well, according to Buddhism, there are subtle beings floating around, and they're gods. We call them devas in Buddhism. Are they real? Hard to know. If you don't have the sensibility to see them, you're not going to see them, and that's that. But I could give you a whole list of people who do think they've seen them, you know, at the same time. Yeah. I remember Satchibandu and what was his, he's dead now, Pramodna. They both saw a deva at a class, you know, sitting at the back, yeah. There's sort of light coming off the back, yeah. You know, so it's crazy. When I went to Bodh Gaya, it was like the place was full of devas. I got these free meditations every time I meditated at Bodh Gaya. You know, it was just easy. It was a free ride every time. And then when we went up to Delhi, it stopped. Yeah? But Bodh Gaya was where the Buddha got enlightened. So these devas, and the Pali Canon is full of them. You know, sometimes the Buddha looks around, who can I give a teaching to? He always does this. Is there somebody in the crowd who's good? And on one occasion there isn't. And then he sees the devas, so he gives the teaching to the devas. Yeah? So there we go. Yeah. But I find it interesting that in the three Abrahamic religions, you know, Judaism, they've got angels. An angel is a deva, yeah? So they do. They got Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Raphael. That's in the Jewish religion, yeah? Christianity has the same four and crowds more, yeah? Islam, they call them the Malaika, and they're the messengers of God. So we've got these three religions, all with angels, and they're just beings. Yeah, but subtle. And you would argue that we might have been devas in a past life, and we might be again. Okay? Yeah. I mean, when you hear the music of Mozart as a 6-year-old, you think, he was a deva last time. That's heaven. His music is heavenly from the beginning. You know, where did he come from? So there we go, yeah? He's come from heaven. So there we go. All right, we move on. Very controversial. I'll just leave that hanging in the air. And the good thing about Buddhism, you don't have to believe me. Yeah? Great. So, Buddho, Bhagavati, yeah? We've had this. Bhagavat, you know, the lucky one, you know, blah, 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 enlightened, yeah? Iti. So, what's it? Bhagavati means, he is that. Iti means thus, yeah? He is so. Good. Buddhang jivata paryantang saranam gacchami. All right, the text is now changing. We've done all this honouring of the Buddha's qualities, and yeah, we're just listing qualities in an emotional way. It's like if you were speaking to your friend, you'd say, "I really like you. You're really generous. You know, you're really kind." And that's all you say. And they go, "Oh, thank you. That's very nice." You don't say, "You're really generous. Here's the proof. I remember on Tuesday you did this, or Wednesday you did." You don't do that, yeah? It's a bit silly, and that's what this text is. We're not trying to prove the Buddha's good. We're taking it. It's a devotional practice, yeah. So great, the Buddha's got these qualities, yeah. But now, Buddhang jivata paryantang saranam gacchami. Saranam gacchami are the really interesting words. We hear the three words all over the Buddhist world. We don't translate it. We keep it in Pali. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Buddhang to the Buddha. Saranang, refuge. Gacchami, I go. I go for refuge to the Buddha. And that is a big concept. We're saying, I've looked at the world. I think it's really dangerous. You know, it doesn't work out well for an awful lot of people. You're Buddhists, you seem to be a bit happier. Some of you seem to know where you're going, you know. Maybe this is a safe place, you know. Then you read about the life of the Buddha. It's really very good. And suddenly the Buddha becomes like the safe place to go, yeah. And he becomes and a refuge is a safe place. A refuge, you know. Refuge from the storm. That's the expression, isn't it? Yeah? Yeah. There's nothing wrong with going to safe places, you know. There's a forest fire. Don't wait to be burnt. You know, go to a safe place. There's a flood. Find a nice hill, you know. It's good to go to a safe place. It sounds, oh, you're escapist. Yeah, dead right I am, you know. It's crap, I'm going, you know. So the Buddha is the safe place, yeah. And we go for refuge. We take him as our refuge. And I looked up this word, jivata paryantang. I couldn't find it. I went through all of Google. And I finally found the words in a Malayan dictionary. This is night before last. And jivata paryantang, you won't believe what it means. It means a life sentence in prison. Yeah? Which is not exactly what we're looking for, yeah? But in the Buddhist context, it means for the rest of my life, I will go for refuge. So it's a slightly different meaning. Yeah? And so that's what we're saying. For the rest of my life, I will go for refuge to the Buddha. Yeah, till death us do part. You know. So yeah. And we commit ourselves to it. And again, I said choice and decision were powerful. Commitment is powerful as hell. You know. You say, this is the one. This is the one I'm following, and the results come. Yeah? I remember, you know, I did karate for about a year and a half, you know, and you stick in the karate club, and before you know it, you've gone from a white belt to a yellow belt. Oh, very nice. You're a little bit faster, a little bit cleverer. Was it red belt, then yellow belt, you know? Then you drop out for about 3 months. Yeah, you go away for 3 months, 4 months, and you come back. And all the yellow belts have got green belts now. What happened? And the blue belts have now got black belts. You know, all you had to do was stick around, and you went all the way up to black belt. It was, it was inevitable. Yeah? And that's what commitment does. You just commit yourself and the consequences come. But you do need to make a commitment. Great. So, all right, it speeds up a little bit now. Yecha, what's it? Yecha Buddha Atitacha, Yecha Buddha Anagata Patipacha. I can't do it out of context. Chaya Buddha Ahanga Vandami Sabpada. What he's saying to all the Buddhas of the past, to the Buddhas of the future and the Buddhas of this time, and this time can mean all the way back to Shakyamuni 2,500 years ago, this era, yeah? I go for refuge, yeah? Ahang, I, Vandami, salute, sabada, always. I'm going to these Buddhas, past, present, and future, always, yeah? Nati me saranang anyan, there's no other refuge. This is the one I want. Buddhang me saranang varam. Varam means sort of, it's the best, better than the others. And then the odd little lines at the end, Etena sacha vachena, sacha is the truth. By the power of this truth, Huti me jaya mangalam, for me may there be a great celebration. All right, okay, that's a bit weird. Jaya mangalam. Mangalam is, it's just something that's very auspicious, lucky, happy. Yeah, mangalam. I know a fellow called Mangala. His name means happy, lucky. And Jaya, anybody got a clue about Jaya? Jaya. Yes! Well done, that man. 30 points for Slytherin. No. Sorry, they're not Slytherin. But, Jaya. And so, you hear all the Indians, they go, Jai Bhim, victory, victory. Yes, and it does mean victorious. Yes, Jai Bhim, yeah. So a great victorious celebration at the end. All right. That's pretty well it, yeah. So the structure, we reflect on the qualities of the Buddha. We decide to move towards the Buddha, and hopefully we make great spiritual progress. That's all I've done. Thank you. Leave it. There we go. So, questions, discussions. I mean, yeah. The angels were spooky, wasn't it? I don't know what else.
I have a question.
Yes. Tell me your name, please. Tell me your name. Emily, fantastic. Emily.
Yeah.
Good.
I appreciated you trying to make this distinction between what worship means, because
Yes.
I'm also, somebody who's very new to this,
Yeah.
had heard that the Buddha had said, don't worship me, and then I had always wondered, what's with the altar?
Yes.
So I was just wondering, is that really exactly where he drew the line, was to say, don't think of me as a creator?
I don't think that was ever said, and you could worship the Buddha, there was never anything against it, but the Buddha was against the idea of creator, per se. No, what's his words? No, he's a real scientist. He didn't say there is no God, creator. He didn't say that. He's smarter than that. He basically says, I never found one. Yeah? And when you look at the causal process of everything is sort of interrelating, giving rise to things, affecting, to then take a little bit out of it and say, oh no, this bit's independent and it's called God, and it's unaffected by any of this, It's a bit odd, So you can see the logic. But his words were, no God, no Brahma can be found, no maker of this wheel of life, just bare phenomena roll on, created by conditions all. So it's all the phenomena give rise to the new phenomena, give rise to the new phenomena. And we have to try and be creative in this process. But it's all us doing it. Well, once we've got some consciousness and the ability to make choices, we can guide it, yeah? So if you like, we are the creator. Yeah? Of our destiny, anyway. Yeah. I hope that works, Emily, yeah? Great, great. Yeah. Thank you, beautiful. Thank you. I really, great question. Yeah. Yeah. There is a very, very naughty text in the Pali Canon. I think it's a joke. Some people think it's a joke. Sagramati said Sangaraksha thinks it's serious, but he thinks it's a joke. And it's how at the end of the last era, yeah, the whole universe is sort of compacted down. And now there's like a Buddhist Big Bang, you know, and it all starts evolving again and expanding, yeah? The whole universe is sort of expanding out. But there's no beings to be seen there. They've all sort of gone into some sort of catatonic sleep or something. And then suddenly, Brahma gets reborn. Wow. And he's looking at all this universe everywhere. He's going, amazing. You know, he was alive before in the last universe. And he goes, wow, where did all this come from? I must have made it. Yeah? And then all these devas, these lower beings, they all go pop, 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 pop. They all appear. And they go, wow, look at all this. And they turn to Brahma and go, did you make this? And he went, yeah. They all worship him, you know. And then later on, some of the devas, they just find the planet so interesting. They start sort of licking them. They like the taste. And they get reborn as beings on the planet. And so you get like human beings coming into existence. They're like fallen gods. Is that text true? It's so funny. It's hilarious. And it's 500 years before poor old Yahweh's really going, isn't it? No, yeah, you know. No, Yahweh is around, the old Hebrew God, yeah? But it does sort of have a little poke at theism a bit, yeah. It's in the Pali Canon. I've read it, you know.
It sounds a lot like Mormonism.
Sorry?
It sounds a lot like Mormonism.
More, it does. Mormons. Yeah, gosh. In black suits. Yeah.
They believe that they get to choose their own planets to be reborn on.
Oh, really? Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I don't think Buddhism go that far. It's more like water finding its own level. You do sort of, you know, you go where you're comfortable. Do you know what I mean? You gravitate towards that which sort of suits you best, yeah. That's the whole Tibetan Book of the Dead, you know, making these... How can you make decisions when you're dead? I don't know, yeah? But a friend of mine, he used to impersonate being dead, and he'd go, lovely, lovely smoky lights, like Homer Simpson, you know. And because you avoid the smoky light, because you're going to go to hell, you know, you go for the bright lights when you're dead, you know. And it's in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, but my friend was always, he's dead now, so I hope he didn't go for the smoky light, you know. He did move on to patches before he died, so who knows, you know, but there we go, good old Chakupala, yeah. My best mate, yeah. But, we won't go into the event with the dead. Some interesting bits in it, but I can't take it literally, you know. But it's interesting, John Cleese and this other fellow, they wrote this book, Families and How to Survive Them. And they talk about if you go to a party, after about 2 or 3 hours, you might find yourself naturally finding people with a similar history to your own. And it might not be obvious, but it takes a few hours, but in the end you sort of find your people. And that does work, you can test that, that's real, yeah? And it can even be astonishing. Oh really? You know, your dad was in the army too. Yeah, you know, odd things, yes? And maybe death is a bit like that. Find the most suitable, you know. I would have been floating down Mullingar High Street in Ireland, and I would have seen my mum and going, she's gorgeous, and I was in there, bop, you know. My mum does remember getting pregnant with my sister Mary at that moment, yeah, during sex. And this is an Irish Catholic woman who doesn't like to talk about sex, you know. But when my sister Mary, you know, my mum, yeah, she's dead now, 5 years, so I can talk about her. But she's having sex with my dad, and suddenly there's this amazing, just glory and delight. And Mary had entered she now had a very lovely, very energetic, very wild daughter. Yeah. Spooky, spooky. This is a great area to go in. We can stay here. When we go into this area, we'll be here till 3 o'clock. When we here till 3 o'clock.